Hi guys, this week I want to take a look at this guitar. I bought this ages ago and it's featured in a few videos already, but I want to give it a real review today. So this is the Chapman Guitars ML3 Pro Traditional Triton. It's basically a Telecaster, but really nice looking. Let's just go through the features of the guitar first. We've got Swamp Ash body, no pickguard, which I like. One of the reasons why I went for this guitar is because I wanted a Telecaster for a while, but I'm not a big fan of the general look of it. I think it looks a bit too 60s for my taste. So this has no pickguard, and the wood just has like a blue stained finish instead of like some kind of lacquer, and it just looks really beautiful. So you have your regular Telecaster control section, so a three-way pickup selector, and your volume knob and your tone knob. As far as the pickups go, you've got two single coils, which is kind of just the norm for Telecasters. This is the configuration you see on most of them, unless they're like something weird or custom, or this is the traditional kind of a Telecaster array. What would you call it? I don't know. Fuck it. So we have your traditional style Telecaster bridge, and it's got these really nice brass bridge pieces and just a normal kind of intonation screw control, so each string can be individually adjusted. Some Telecasters have those things where only two strings can be adjusted at the same time, which is, I don't know, I prefer having a bit more control. I bought this from Thomann and it came beautifully set up straight out of the box. The intonation was pretty much almost perfect. When I change the strings, of course, I'll look at it again, but for the minute now, it really plays very well. So you have your maple fretboard, which is kind of a departure from what I normally have. My other guitars all have like imitation rosewood fretboards, but this is nice, and it has the infinity symbol at the 12th fret, which is kind of cool. I've always been a big fan of Devin Townsend, and it really reminds me of his kind of stuff. I think he might actually use infinity symbols on his own signature guitars as well. So it has the string spacers up here, which are nice. More on the neck actually. It's a nice thin neck, much thinner than I'm used to, especially because lately, or the last few years, I've been mainly playing 7-string Les Paul. So Les Pauls have thick necks anyway, and then the fact that it's a 7-string just added a lot to it as well. So this feels tiny in comparison and is just much faster to play. It has these nice fret number indicators on the top side, just little dots, but a nice little addition which I hadn't even realized when I purchased it was that these glow in the dark, which would be handy for on stage and whatnot, and it's just kind of nice little extra. It's not a huge deal. Then as for the machine heads, they are these, I think they're their own brand, Chapman. Anyway, they're hip shot locking tuners. I'm not sure what brand they are, if Hipshot is the brand. I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that much about machine heads. Anyway, they're locking tuners, which is great. First time I've had locking tuners on a guitar. Supposedly it doesn't really help tuning stability like I used to think. I used to think locking tuners were called locking because they locked the string in the tuning, but that's not the case apparently. I might have to do a video on that at some point, because it was news to me. It might be news to someone else. Locking tuners, what they do is they just hold the string in when you're restringing, so you don't have to wrap it around the machine head like you would traditionally. So normally when you're changing strings you have to do a kind of a weird knot and tuck thing in order to make sure that the strings are locked down and will stay in tune. This just does it automatically for you, which is great. Easier string changes. String through body construction, so they come out here, which is kind of cool. The other guitars I have all have those tail pieces that you push the strings through, and they can be a bit of a pain when you're changing strings because they're only being held on by the tension of the strings going through them. So as you're changing strings, the actual piece of hardware can fall off the guitar or it can fall onto the body, and they'll leave a dent or whatever. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's just something simple that can be alleviated with just this design style. The last feature that I don't like, actually, it's one of the few things I don't like about this guitar, is that it comes with these strap locks. I did a video on this before, but I can just go through it one more time for this video, I guess. Yeah, it's just these things. Attach to your strap. You have a little thing you pull, which releases a locking part inside, and then with it pulled out, you slot it onto the attachment which is fitted to the guitar, slips in and locks in place. So your guitar will never fall out of your strap. You will never drop your guitar on stage by the strap slipping off of the guitar. But they're bulky is my main problem. They're quite bulky. They are a bit of an eyesore, and also they do the same job as these little plastic or rubber style washers that I got on AliExpress, which would fit over the strap end on any strap, and holds the strap onto the guitar just as well for a few cents. And the problem with these that I have as well is when you're playing at home and you're at low volumes, these things actually shake and rattle. I don't know if you could hear that. They're not entirely strongly attached. Like, it's attached enough that it will never actually fall off the guitar, but there is enough like wriggle room so that you hear a bit of shaking if you go at it, or if you're just holding it in general. It's probably not a problem if you're standing up and wearing the guitar, and you definitely wouldn't ever hear it over a gig, like, because the noise of the PA obviously would definitely drown it out. But if I was going to twist my own arm and try to come up with a con for this guitar or something that I don't like, then that's the one thing, really. I have it tuned to E standard because this is going to be my everyday guitar. So I have this, then I have a 7-string that's obviously tuned to drop A, as I've said many times on my channel. Then the acoustic in standard, and I have an acoustic now in Dadga. Is that how you pronounce it? Or are you even meant to pronounce it? I'm not sure. D-A-D-G-A-D, is it? Dadgad? Yeah, anyway, whatever. The main important thing is that this is an E standard, because it's my everyday guitar. I play it every day, and it's just very, very versatile, which you will hear now. So let's, I have it plugged into my Trainer Dark Horse tube amp, and that's running through an orange PP112, PPC112, you know, the orange 12-inch single speaker cab. That's going through a Sennheiser E906, I think it is. Yeah, anyway. And we're just going to run it through a few pedals as well, and then straight into the computer. Yeah, so let's just take a listen at a few different tones. So this would be my normal clean tone with no frills, no effects. Right, so let's throw some Tube Screamer over it. And now here's some fuzz. Some regular old distortion. This is through the Behringer HM300. we'll try and do some kind of shoegazy stuff that I've been doing lately. This is with, what is it, chorus, delay, and reverb. The shimmer reverb, sorry. So that's a few examples of tones that I've been getting out of it. It's great for a load of different styles. It doesn't have the same kind of high gain ability as my Les Paul, but it's not really designed for that so much. I didn't buy it for that either. It's more of a kind of a rock guitar, indie rock. Kind of post-rock is what I'm aiming for, maybe a bit of shoegaze thrown in there. Aside from that, the controls on the guitar also change the sound obviously, so why don't I go through them? The pickup selection. I generally just leave it in the middle position, so it's a mix of the two pickups, but you can make it brighter or darker obviously by selecting it yourself. And then you have your tone knob. And then your volume control. Again, I mean, they do exactly what they say on the tin. Every guitar has them really. This just happens to have a single tone control for the two pickups. Some guitars, like most Les Pauls, will have individual tone controls, but that doesn't really make any difference really. And obviously it has a volume control there where you can use it to clean up dirt pedals by just lowering the volume of the guitar going into them, effectively reducing the gain. You know, it's that phrase that reviewers love, where it cleans up great with the volume knob, or is that how they say it? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, yeah, it does clean up great with the volume knob, or it cleans up great using its volume knob, whatever. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Nice little walkthrough of my favorite new guitar. Yeah, so if you're into this kind of thing, please like and subscribe and check back again. I put up a video every week of me doing something. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's not. That's a really bad way of advertising the channel. I should probably be more self-confident. Whatever.